What's going on, family? Maurice Beta, Helpful Trucker here. I recently did a live stream on my channel, and I was sharing with my audience the different steps to setting up an entity, to creating a business, creating the entity, and setting it up in a way that it could be able to receive funding, maybe be able to receive a loan. My opinion is most people probably stop at the basic steps, which are registering their entity with the state, getting the EIN and setting up the bank accounts, the checking and the savings account. If you've gone through the process before, you probably know that if you want to set your entity up in a way that it can receive a loan, then you need to go a step further. There's other things that need to be done. And that was what I was talking about on this live stream with my audience that I recently did. And I was going through the segment on bank accounts and opening up your bank accounts. But I asked my live stream viewers the question, how many, in their opinion, how many bank accounts did they think a business owner needed? And people gave their responses. Most of the responses were 2 and 3 and 4. And I told my audience, I shared with them in that video that a business owner needs at least 7 accounts. And in this video, I want to talk about that a little bit because there were a few viewers that responded in the comments that night that disagreed with me. They're like, you don't need that many business accounts. So in this video, real quickly, I'm going to break down why you absolutely need at least 7 accounts. Now, before I share with you the 7 accounts that you need and why you need them, I definitely want to say that the real answer to the question is it depends on obviously what type of business you run. It depends on how you're running things, and I'll go into that a little bit further in just a second. Here's the 7 accounts that I would say any business owner, self-employed individual needs if they want to be operating their business in the right way. Real quick, family, for the last few weeks, I've been going live with my audience here on the channel every Friday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I really enjoy it. I plan to stay as consistent as I can with that in the future going forward. Now, obviously the edited videos, like the one you're watching right now, I'm gonna continue with those. That's where my channel gets most of the search traffic from and most of the views and ad revenue from. But in my opinion, there's really nothing like the interaction and engagement that is available only in a live stream. If you're not a subscriber of the channel though, then you're not being notified when we're live here. And I don't leave my live streams public. I rip out the valuable parts, edit it, and re-upload those videos. So if you miss these live streams, then you're missing out on the opportunity to be able to really engage and interact with me and with the audience here on the channel. So before you click off of this video, if you haven't already, consider subscribing to the channel so you'll be reminded. You'll get a notification right on your phone whenever we're live. And it doesn't matter whether you're new in trucking or if you're a veteran, you've been around for a while, or if you're just thinking about getting in trucking. I normally come up with some pretty valuable topics to discuss in the lives. Consider subscribing to the channel, family, and I look forward to seeing you on the next live stream this Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern. Now let's get back to the video. Obviously, you're gonna have your general checking account that all of your money comes into. Now, when money comes into that, you want to be able to allocate money for all of your overhead that you're going to have. And again, that is dependent upon what type of business that you run. I do know people that have a separate fuel account, or they'll at least have a separate way to access fuel. So they might not have a savings account for fuel, but they may have a credit line somewhere for fuel. Essentially, it's the same thing. They have allocated a resource to take care of fuel. So you can do that through a line of credit or a fuel card or something. But if you're not doing that, it's not a bad idea to actually have a separate fuel account, separate from your overhead account. Depending on what you're doing right there, that's either 2 or 3 accounts. And also as a trucking owner operator, and this will apply to a lot of other businesses as well, I would say it's not a bad idea to have a new equipment fund. You know, we're driving these trucks out here, and there's going to come a day when we need to replace the truck. Many of us as owner operators, many of us as business owners in general, are not allocating funds for buying new equipment. I know a lot of the times when I pay off a car payment, personal, or if it's, you know, related to business, when I pay off a car payment, typically I will reallocate those funds to somewhere else. But it's not a bad idea after you pay off your car payment or after you pay off your truck payment to continue to make that payment not to the lender that you paid the equipment off through, but have a separate account. Call it a new equipment account, and you continue to make those payments. You've already been in the habit of making them anyway, but you've been struggling to make them to the finance company or to whoever lent you the money for the equipment. Now you can continue to struggle, but to make sure that you make that payment to yourself. That's going to do two things. It's going to keep you in the habit of making that payment. If you've ever paid off a vehicle before and not had a payment for a while and then had to go back to a payment, you understand that could be a bit of a mental challenge. So you're still training yourself to make that payment. And you're also preparing for when you're going to need new equipment. I would say it's not a bad idea to also have a separate maintenance account. Every week when money comes into your general checking account, you want to be allocating a certain amount of funds for maintenance. And you should add to that fund every single week, every single month, at least till you get to a certain amount, at least till you get to an amount where you can cover pretty much any expense that could come up with your equipment. Now, again, you can maintain all of this stuff in one account. There are absolutely individuals that do that. But my opinion is, even if you're a small operation, even if you're a one truck owner operator like I am, that don't mean you have to operate like a little guy. So you're allocating funds to your overhead account, you're allocating funds possibly to a fuel account, and you've separated that from your overhead. You have that account. You have your new equipment account that you're going to allocate funds to every week when you get paid, and you have your maintenance account. In my opinion, it's also a great idea to have a separate tax account and a separate savings account. When money comes in the general account, you want to be allocating funds for those things as well. Now, earlier I mentioned that the real answer to this question, how many bank accounts does a business owner have, is it all depends on what type of business you run. What I meant by that is you might have employees that you have to cover payroll for every week. Obviously, you can't argue with having a separate payroll account. Currently, me and my wife are looking at the possibility of buying a franchise, and we're going to have to pay royalties as we bring in money, as we earn revenue. It's probably not a bad idea to have a separate account to also make sure that every month I have the franchisor's royalties. Again, what kind of business you run is absolutely relevant to how many accounts that you should have. And if you understand the importance as a business owner of keeping your personal affairs separate from your business affairs, I think you'd have to agree that business owner also needs at least a personal checking account and a personal savings account to take care of personal issues. And notice I said at least because, again, not a bad idea for an individual to have separate personal accounts as well. As many as you feel like you need to allocate for everything that you want to allocate for. I can't tell you how many people I know that have opened up a Christmas account at their bank so that they make sure they have money in place for Christmas. There's a couple of things that this is going to enable you to do if you have your money allocated in different accounts for the different categories of expenses that are going to come up in your business. The first benefit in doing it this way is it's going to ensure that you're taking care of your obligations. It's going to ensure that you're paying your bills. It's going to ensure that you're maintaining your credit. There are many people that are in business ownership, entrepreneurship that don't have good credit. And at the core of that, most of the times, is an individual that doesn't have good bill paying habits. The second thing it ensures is that you're going to show up to the tax man with the money to pay your taxes on time. None of this having to go through payment arrangements with the IRS, which again, a lot of us as business owners go through that. 3, doing it this way is going to ensure you maintain your equipment. A lot of times as owner operators, we're not maintaining our equipment. But if you have a maintenance fund and you're allocating the funds on a regular basis for maintenance, it makes it more likely that when you got repairs that come up, you'll have the money there to do it, and it won't be a huge issue. It won't hit you as hard as if you're not prepared. The fourth thing it allows you to do is to prepare for buying new equipment. Many of us as owner operators, not only are we not always maintaining our equipment properly in some cases, but when it's time to get a new truck, if we haven't been paying our bills well, our credit score is not good, our equipment is raggedy, and if we haven't been preparing for the purchase of a new equipment, now we're not coming to the table with much cash to put into the purchase of new equipment. So doing it this way ensures that when it's time to get new equipment, because you've been maintaining your equipment, you're showing up to the dealership with a halfway decent piece of equipment to trade in. Or if it's really well taken care of, you might decide to just keep it. And the next piece of equipment would be then adding to your fleet instead of you trading in the old piece of equipment on the new piece of equipment. But either way, you'll have some cash, you'll have some money to go into that new equipment when the time is appropriate. Many of us as owner operators are not doing this. And when we show up in 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years to get new equipment, we're in no better position than we were the first time when we bought the first piece of equipment. And the fifth thing that what I'm sharing with you will do is ensure that you're saving, because you're deliberately allocating funds every week for that purpose. Again, many of us as owner operators, we're not necessarily always counting us in the expenses that we have. We'll go out, we'll run day and night to make sure that we can pay the bills and keep up our credit and pay our taxes. But then in a lot of cases, we can't save money. But if you got a system in place where you're allocating funds every single week for all of these things, you can consider everything that I rolled out just now an expense. These are categories of expenses. If you're allocating funds for those different things, then those things will be getting taken care of. And over time, in 3 to 5 years of doing this, you'll feel like you haven't been making any money the whole time because you've been allocating funds to where it needs to go. But you'll look around in 5 years and your life will be better because you've been taking care of the things that need to be taken care of to grow your business.